So, any questions on what we've covered so far?
It's perfectly good to me. I'm done.
So you have a thing. You have All in America. Cities All in America.
That's very close. It's America is all in.
America is all in.
America is all in.
And so...
Do they have any interest in what we're all in?
I'm very interested. I don't know about these people.
Well, we were chatting earlier about all the work that both of us are doing, and I think the one thing that connects us in an obsessive way is to try to address the climate challenge. And one of the things I'm doing is I'm joining Bloomberg's America is All In effort, and that's basically an opportunity to deal with about 5,000 people that really care about climate action. And we're going out and we're doing some traveling and we're doing a tour to talk to all of the states that we can and cities we can and reach them, like places like Cleveland, Ohio, we're going, Houston, Texas, Seattle, Washington. That's all on the agenda for the next few months or so. And we're going to talk about the Inflation Reduction Act, all the resources that are available and opportunities, and how all of these cities and communities can access this money so no one's left behind.
So, 5,000 people.
Yeah.
Where did they come from? How did 5,000 people find each other?
Oh, they're from all different kinds of arenas. They're state governors, they're mayors, they're members of coalitions that deal with clean air. They're folks that are in the hospital sector. They're folks that are in the business sector. You know, basically they bring a level of coordinated expertise to these issues so that people can understand that there's challenges that we all face, but we can actually work together to address this challenge.
So the places you mentioned were cities.
That's correct.
So I don't know if you heard about this, but the United States is divided.
In what way?
Politically.
Oh,
you probably haven't heard anything about it. But anyway, so how do us in the concerned community of climate concerned people, the deep question is, how do we reach people who are not on board, who are not concerned with climate change? You know, there are people running for president of the United States, and one guy and all his sycophants who are not on board with this. They don't acknowledge that climate change is a problem, let alone what anybody's going to do about it. And it is largely cities versus not cities. So does America All In have a plan to go to not cities? Notcities.com.
I think that we're certainly doing a lot more than just in 3 or 4 cities. Those are the ones we're traveling to. But if you look at it, Houston is not the bastion of blue.
No, not exactly.
So, no. Part of the issue is on climate is, we're going out talking about, the 300 plus billions of dollars in investment, the 200 plus thousand jobs that have been created through the Inflation Reduction Act. And frankly, you don't have to be a climate advocate to be smart that there's money on the table, and the shift to clean energy is going to make money. The shift to clean energy is going to clean up our air. The shift to clean energy is going to be the path forward for many cities to actually save families money. So there's many benefits that are much more sort of personal that we have to talk about, or else we're just going to keep spinning our wheel and not address what is the global existential challenge of our time, which is climate change. So I'll go to Houston, we'll talk to anybody. The issue is that we have to get real, we have to get moving, and the time is too short to sit around being negative or arguing about whether climate change is real. If they don't want to talk about that, then take the money, go to clean energy, still maintain your own sort of wing of ideas of what's right and what's wrong, but let's just get moving.
Done. That's simple.
I think that's it.
So
how do you deal with people that actually...
I haven't figured it out, man. I've been trying
Get the question out.
well, I've been
I
trying
mean,
to.
but you do this all the time. You must run into it, right?
That's all I do is run into it. Is people who do not want to face the truth.
Yeah.
And you know, I used to work in the oil field. People do not realize this. People were talking about Texas earlier today. I used to work in Snyder. Anyone? Snyder, Texas? It's a little, the stage is a little bigger than Snyder, Texas. But they have, we, it is just oil wells, as far as you can see, you know, just one right next to each other. And now they're building enormous wind turbines in West Texas. But the problem is still getting the electricity from out there to where it's needed most. So with this in mind, I'm all for these, like weatherizing people's homes.
Yep.
These individual actions. And I say all the time, recycling bottles is great. Kooky for it. Recycling paper is good, but that's not
It's not going to make
these
it.
big things that we need. So do you have, are you all involved in big things? Of course she is. What big things are you involved in?
Yes, a few what things that I think of as big. You know, I think the work that we're trying to do on America's All In is a really big thing. You know, because, you know, I worked on the Inflation Reduction Act and the bipartisan infrastructure law that was passed. And really it was built on the premise that if you don't want to argue about climate change, that's fine, but you should argue about getting good jobs. And a lot of them. You should argue about saving families money. You should argue about growing really good paying union jobs too. That would be good. So there are so many ways in which I think you can connect as a human being to this issue that doesn't have to get in the sort of make you turn to some political, you know, arena that doesn't allow you to act, you know, act in your own best interest. So I work in America's All In, but I'm also working for a couple of private investment companies who actually want to invest in emerging technologies in the global south.
What are they investing in?
I think
What are
that's
they
good.
investing in?
They're investing in clean energy.
You'd have to
They're
kill us.
investing
What
in
specifically?
advancing food systems in India. They're investing in advancing clean water in Africa. These are fundamental staples that every country in the world needs to have if you want to continue to actually mature these economies. So I'm not interested in single solar arrays in the middle of nowhere. I want system change. I want to actually recognize that the United States has an obligation to provide resources to the countries that we have damaged with our greenhouse gas emissions. I think it's time. And if we can do it in a way that advances sustainable economies, it advances national security and international security for all of us.
Are you saying we wouldn't have to fight wars overseas to get oil if we had electricity here renewably? That's crazy.
It may sound like pie in the sky, but I actually think there's a reality to that, yeah.
Well, the other thing, there's this, you can feel guilty as somebody who grew up in the developed world, that we pumped out all these greenhouse gases and the world's warming and it's all our fault and all, then that's very reasonable. But the other thing is all that energy enabled the developed world to come up with all this crazy technology. You know, if you're living without electricity, you probably will not invent a transistor, for example. Probably not. And so it's in everybody's best interest. I say all the time, people are more alike than they are different. We are all in this together. Nobody's leaving the earth. You know, I work in space exploration, advancing space science and exploration with the Planetary Society. People, we're not going to go live on Mars. Like, I mean, I love you all, but when you open the door of the spacecraft.
Elon Musk thinks we're going.
Well, he said he wants to die there, but not on impact. Which I get it, you know. So you guys, many years ago, this is when Elon Musk, you brought up Elon Musk. He's a hugely influential
Why
guy.
did I do this?
So everybody, do you know Elon Musk is nominally the second richest guy in the world. Do you know the richest
No,
guy?
who? I thought he was number one.
No, Putin is Vladimir Putin is the richest guy in the world.
Yeah.
It hasn't affected his politics, though. That's irony, everybody. But people, years ago, Elon Musk would be introduced as Elon Musk, founder of PayPal. There weren't even hyphens. This is Elon Musk, founder of PayPal. PayPal, you know, the online money thing. And then he had this vision of building rockets and this and that. I gave him a ride to the airport a long time ago. And he's changed. I would say he's changed. But everybody...
In what way has he changed?
Well, whatever I'm going to say is going to end my career. But
Okay, then.
he's less one of us than when I met him. But understand, he wanted to go to Mars. This is a digression, but only a little one. He wanted to go to Mars, and he went to the scientific engineering community. How do I get to Mars? And everybody pointed out, that in general, you don't want to build a rocket so big it could leave Earth and go all the way to Mars or the moon. You want to build rockets to go in Earth orbit, and then you'd refuel, you'd build up a rocket in Earth orbit and then go on to Mars. And so he embraced this, and say what you will, but SpaceX has had almost 100 launches last year. This is the most exciting time in space exploration since the Apollo era. And say what you will, but in the background of both Musk's vision and Jeff Bezos' vision is making renewable rocket fuel. Making rocket fuel right out of carbon dioxide in the air.
My family's going to be really excited about that opportunity.
Who will?
My family.
Your whole family? Yeah, let's go. And there's a few people I wouldn't mind sending to Mars. No, really.
I think there are a number that are from Mars right now.
I have some ideas. But you guys, if this pursuit of this extraordinary goal leads to a way to make essentially kerosene, diesel fuel out of air, that would be cool as heck. You know, if we could make renewable aviation fuel, everybody's SAF, sustainable aviation fuel. Airplane fuel and rocket fuel are very close. It's just, there's some additives to keep it from freezing and stuff. But if we could do that, then we could keep our planes flying. We wouldn't have to change everything. It could be fantastic. So I always say, let's go. So with that in mind, are you involved in, I'm going to call factories for making fuel, factories for taking municipal solid waste and doing something?
Yeah, in a few cases, yeah. I mean, I'm involved in anything that's going to get me to where I think we need to go, which
For example?
Well, I'm working with a company right now that is working on how to, well, one of them is easy. It's working on HFCs, hydrofluorocarbons, and how do you begin to get them out of the system.
Stop making them and using them?
Yeah. And shift to things that are so much less carbon intensive. So that's a really good thing.
When I worked in a bike shop.
A what?
A bicycle shop.
Okay.
A what? Yes. I was younger. Anyway, the worship solvent, if you could get Freon.
Oh, yeah.
You could get, chlorinated fluorocarbon to squirt on the mechanical parts that would get so clean. And then in 1983 or 5, Sherry discovered ozone being broken down by chlorinated fluorocarbons. What's his last name? Help me out.
I can't think of it. Say it again? Well, we can move on.
Oh, really? Anyway, then everybody freaked out. Everybody was wringing their hands. Oh my gosh.
Does anybody know what we're talking about? Or does everybody know what we're talking about?
So you want to
I'm not sure I do. So
well, you want to clean grease off of things. It happens. Their cars have grease on them. Bicycle chains have grease on them. The same thing that's used as an efficient refrigerant, the fluid that flows through a refrigerator, also turns out to be a great degreaser. Everybody was freaking out when it was discovered that this stuff causes ozone to break down, that the O3 becomes O2 very fast and doesn't replenish.
Remember the hole in the ozone layer?
The hole in the ozone is slowly healing because the man, who was probably a woman, passed legislation to keep it from being used, and so people were wringing their hands, freaking out, what are we going to do? And then people in Florida invented these citrus solvents. So you just think of the innovations that are possible when our backs are against the wall or when we decide we have to do it. And there's a thing right now where everybody, the premise is that regulations are bad. And my feeling is, no, they can't, like we have an agreement. We drive on the right. Okay, if we didn't have that regulation, there would be issues, or like really fast. And there are other countries, where they drive on the other side, but they've all agreed that they're going to drive on one. You pay taxes on the whole road, yes, but you only get to use one half of it at a time. And so what we want are regulations that are sophisticated or are appropriate. Are you guys working on policy and regulations?
Well, I just want to be clear that I left the administration. So I did work on those things when I was the EPA administrator. That was fun. And when I was in the White House, I did the same thing. I kind of like regulations that are done well. I don't know what our world would look like if we didn't have them.
There you go, yes.
But I also think there's lots of other things that are going on today that are interesting and exciting. Look, regulations don't solve things. They make things more manageable, right?
Yes.
But today, if you want to tackle climate change, you have all of the technologies, products, and processes you absolutely need to actually move very fast and accelerate and address the climate challenge as we continue to innovate. That's the good news. The issue is we just have to get it done. That's the challenge. And in the United States, I think we're moving as quickly as we can. I'm proud of the work that's been done. But globally, we don't have our act together in a way that's going to get us where we need to go. So while I'm worried about Elon Musk, I'm a hell of a lot more worried about my kids and what their future looks like. And that's no joke.
So his name came up, say what you will, but Tesla is a very popular car. It's the most popular car in the world. And electric vehicles do not solve our problems. They're just so much more efficient than gas-powered cars. So,
well, I'm not suggesting that he isn't a genius. I'm suggesting that it would be much better if he were a genius with much better scruples, much better understanding of how the world works, much more caring about normal human beings. You know, I went and visited his plant in California when I was at the EPA, yeah. And, and I love electric vehicles. They're great. I have one. I'm not disputing that. But when I went in there, I was looking at it. The entire manufacturing is all robotics, right? Which is, they have a right to do this. But I met with him afterwards in his office, and he started to sit down and lecture me on how I don't do clean car standards right. That I should do this and do that and do this, and because he knows better. And I looked at him and I said, well, I don't think your robots work very well either. And I basically said, you have no idea how to do any of these things. So, kind of get out of my face. And we never met again. I can't imagine.
Surprising.
I just can't imagine what went wrong.
So, along this line, I say all the time, we have to work the problem every way we can, everything all at once. So, regulations are a thing. Innovation, as our backs are against the wall, is important. But what about redistribution of wealth? So this is a difficult thing. So you guys, I understand. I'm of a certain age. This idea that if wealthy people don't have to pay taxes, then they'll employ people, and those people and the money will trickle down. Intuitively, it's, no, that should work. That'd be great. But it just doesn't work.
Trickle-down economics.
No, they've tried it. You guys, they, it, we have tried it 16 times, and it just does not work. And so this is something we got to push back against, because it's one more thing, one more way to work the climate problem, in my opinion. When we have this disparity of wealth, we end up with disparity in access to energy.
Yep.
And what we want, what the ultimate goal, everybody, or not ultimate, no, sorry, a fundamental goal. No, really, I messed up. The fundamental goal is to raise the standard of living of women and girls. When you raise, when you raise the standard of living of women and girls, everybody is better off. The old saying, happy women and girls, happy life. It goes something like that. And so...
I haven't heard that, but that's a good one.
There's another, I don't remember, there's another way to say it. It rhymes. I've lost track of that. So in order to do that, we got to have clean water, renewable, reliable electricity, and access to the internet, or whatever the kids call the internet, in the coming decades. And for that, we've got to have unlimited electricity, essentially unlimited electricity.
Yeah.
And you guys, you know, I remember the first Earth Day. I grew up in the city of, people are from Michigan here, right? And you all go like this. I grew up in the city of Washington, okay? And the first Earth Day.
Was that Jennifer Granholm? I'm trying to figure.
Yeah, she was here. Yeah,
Yeah,
I think she does this, yeah. But she was born in Canada, right?
That's what I heard.
Yeah, so I don't know, what was she thinking? Anyway, the first Earth Day, everybody wanted you to do less. You know, drive less, use less electricity, wear dirty clothes. You know, if you can manage, just don't eat. Do you remember the Aryans?
Oh my God.
Remember those guys?
Yeah.
And so they're going to live off of air. And it was just, they were debunked, shocking. But yeah, I'm coming. So that turns out to be not what people want.
No, it's not about sacrifice. It has to be about opportunity.
It's exactly. So
That's it.
The key to the future is not to do less, it's to do more with less. Thank you all very much.